What would you do if the person you loved most, the one you promised to stand by through sickness and health, walked out when you needed them the most? Phil Mickelson, one of the greatest golfers in history, left completely alone in an empty hospital room. His wife, Amy, walked out. So, what would you do if the person you loved most needed you to keep that vow right now, with no warning and no time to prepare? And his own words, I couldn't take care. It sounds like the ultimate fall from grace. The golden couple shattered. But the truth is nothing like the headline, and what actually happened will break your heart for the opposite reason. Because let me tell you exactly what's been circulating out there. Whispers started spreading across social media. Golf forums lit up with speculation. Before we go further, if you had to choose between your career and being in the room for someone you love, what would you actually do? Drop it in the comments and hit subscribe because this story only gets harder from here. Amy Mickelson had finally had enough. She left Phil alone in a hospital room during a medical crisis. She walked out when he needed her most, and his own admission, I couldn't take care of her, seemed to confirm everything. One of the wealthiest, most accomplished athletes on the planet. Millions of fans cheering his name. Green jackets and trophies lining his walls. A life most people could only dream of. But in that hospital room, silence. No wife by his side. No hand to hold. No voice to comfort him. Just Phil, alone with nothing but his thoughts, his regrets, and those 4 words echoing in his mind. I couldn't take care. It sounded like the ultimate fall from grace. The perfect life, shattered. The golden couple, broken beyond repair. Because everything you just heard, none of it is true. Phil Mickelson never said, I couldn't take care of her, about Amy leaving him. He said those words about himself, about his own fear, his own inadequacy, his own terror of not being strong enough for the woman he loved more than anything in this world. Let me take you back to May 2009. Phil Mickelson was at the peak of his career, world number 2. Multiple major championships, the kind of talent that comes once in a generation. He had it all, the fame, the fortune, the respect of his peers. May 2009, Amy Mickelson was diagnosed with breast cancer. Not a scare, not a precaution, cancer. The kind that required major surgery, the kind that meant chemotherapy, the kind that forced a family to sit in a doctor's office and hear words no one should ever have to hear. And here's what the headlines conveniently leave out. Phil was scheduled to compete in the 2009 U.S. Open, the biggest tournament of the year, the one every golfer dreams of winning. He withdrew, not because he was injured, not because he was sick, because his wife was fighting for her life, and he refused to be anywhere else. His exact words to the press, not excuses, not justifications, just raw, unfiltered honesty. We're scared. I've never been this emotional. If I'm driving alone, I'll just start crying. Think about that. A man who had built his entire identity on control, on precision, on performance, on never showing weakness, standing in front of cameras and admitting he couldn't stop crying. That's not a man who failed his wife. That's a man who was terrified of failing her. And Amy, the woman who supposedly walked out and left him alone, she did the exact opposite. She fought every single day through chemotherapy, through surgery, through the fear and the exhaustion and the moments when giving up would have been so much easier. There are 2 versions of what happened next. One of them is the version that went viral. The other is the version his own doctor watched happen. Only one of them is true. The rumors didn't just get it wrong. They got it completely backwards. Because to understand what really happened, to understand why Phil said those words, why he broke down, why the rumors cut so deep, you have to understand what Amy was actually going through. In his own words, and this is important, so listen closely. I want to be there for her the way she's always been there for me. That's not a man who couldn't take care of his wife. That's a man who put his entire career, his legacy, his earnings, his identity on hold because nothing mattered more than her. And Amy, while Phil was stepping away to be with her, she was fighting through treatments that would break most people, chemotherapy that drained her, surgery that terrified her, days when she couldn't get out of bed, nights when she couldn't sleep. She wasn't walking out of any hospital room. She was fighting to stay in the room. What Phil did next isn't in most of the articles about this. It's the one detail that explains everything that came after. And it starts with a decision nobody expected him to make. This wasn't the end of their story. It was just the beginning. Because here's the thing about caregivers. Nobody sees what they do. The headlines want you to believe Phil was weak, that he couldn't handle the pressure. When things got hard, he crumbled. But the truth? He didn't just step away from golf. He reorganized his entire life. He cut his tournament schedule drastically. He made sure every break in the season, every single one, was spent at home with her. He didn't hire more staff. He didn't delegate. He showed up. And he didn't just show up for the easy parts. He showed up for the ugly parts, the scary parts, the parts nobody wants to talk about. You want to know how committed this man was? At one point, Phil actually had Amy's oncologist serve as his caddy during a tournament. Think about that. The doctor who was saving his wife's life, the man who held her prognosis in his hands, who delivered the hard news, who guided her through the darkest days. Phil brought him onto the golf course, literally carried him through the tournament. It was his way of saying, I carry you with me, every step, every swing, every moment. Real quick. Would you have made that same call, bringing your wife's own doctor onto the course with you? Let me know in the comments and subscribe if you want the next part, because it gets even more personal. And here's something the headline writers conveniently left out. When Phil did return to competition, he wasn't the same golfer. Not because he lost his skill, not because he got older, because he was emotionally shattered. Listen to his own words again. The ones the rumors twisted, the ones they used to paint him as a failure. When I'm driving alone, I just start crying. I think about what she's going through and I can't hold it together. That's not a man who couldn't care for his wife. That's a man who cared so much it broke him. And then something happened that no one saw coming, because just when you think you've heard the whole story, something happened that the rumors will never tell you. October 2009, the President's Cup. Phil is competing. He's doing what he does best, playing golf at the highest level. And in his mind, Amy is back home, recovering from treatment, safe, resting, exactly where she's supposed to be. But Amy had other plans. She was still undergoing treatment, still dealing with medication side effects that barely let her leave the hotel room, still fighting every single day just to feel human again. And she secretly traveled to San Francisco. She hid in his hotel bathroom. Phil walks into his hotel room after a long day of competition, exhausted, maybe a little lonely, missing her more than he wants to admit. He opens the bathroom door, and there she is. He called it incredible. He called it awesome. His voice cracked when he talked about it. That's not a wife who abandoned her husband. That's a woman who, even while fighting cancer, showed up. And here's the kicker. She could only leave the hotel for a few hours at a time. She was still that sick, still that fragile. But she came anyway, because love doesn't always look like big gestures. Sometimes it looks like hiding in a bathroom. And the best part? This wasn't even the most beautiful moment. That was still to come. April 2010. The Masters Tournament, Augusta National, the most prestigious event in golf. Phil Mickelson stands over a 15-foot putt. The entire world is watching. Every breath held. Every heart is waiting. He sinks it. He's won his third Masters. The crowd erupts. Thousands of voices cheering his name. Confetti falling. History being written. But Phil isn't looking at the crowd. He's looking for one person. And there she is, Amy. Her first tournament appearance in 11 months. Standing behind the 18th green, waiting for him. He rushes to her. They embrace. He's crying. She's crying. The whole world is watching, but for that moment, it's just them. His words. And listen to this carefully. We've been through a lot this year. It means a lot to share some joy together. His mother, Mary, also battling breast cancer, stood right behind them. 3 people, 2 cancer battles. One family refuses to break, and not once. Not one single time. Did Amy walk out of a hospital room and leave Phil alone? Not the rumor designed to get your attention, not the version of events that makes for easy outrage and quick shares. The truth is, a wife who fought cancer with everything she had, a husband who put his entire career on hold to be by her side, a family that chose each other when it would have been so much easier to fall apart. Phil Mickelson never said he couldn't take care of his wife. He said he was scared of not being strong enough, and that raw, unfiltered honesty is what makes this story real. The next time you see a headline designed to shock you, designed to make you click, to make you angry, to make you believe the worst about someone, because the truth is almost always more powerful than the rumor. What do you think? Was Phil a hero for stepping away, or should he have kept playing? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me where you're watching from, or if cancer's touched your own family the way it touched theirs. And if this story moved you, if it reminded you that the people we see on TV are real humans with real struggles, hit that subscribe button, because some stories aren't about the fall, they're about how you get back up.